It Comes at Night is a very dark horror slash thriller slash drama directed by Trey Edward Shults, who I just reviewed Waves, directed by him, and actually mentioned this film in that review. This was his second feature film, you could say, after Krisha, and Waves and Krisha being full on dramas, dark dramas at that, but definitely full dramas only. This one definitely takes a horror take and his kind of, you could say, introduction, but his tackle on the horror genre, pretty much. And it's a damn good job, in my opinion. This is one of those films that's going to divide people, and a lot of people have said that they don't like it. It could be because of marketing. This is one of the original like DVD slash Blu-ray posters. I like this one a lot. I don't know if this is strictly a Canadian release or not, but I am a Canadian and bought this in Canada. This was distributed in Canada by Mongrel Media, and it's an A24 film production company. So, knowing that, if you know kind of the industry, you should know what kind of film you're getting into by it being produced by A24 and distributed by Mongrel Media, at least in Canada. You're going to get a slow burn, you know. You're going to get like a Midsommar, Hereditary kind of thing, pretty much. It's not going to be an in-your-face jump scare kind of, monster movie. It's not a monster movie, which the title may suggest, and I think that's why a lot of people got confused with it. It Comes at Night. This focuses more on like a plague than it does, a creature. But I mean, it's awesome for what it delivers. It's dark and bleak and very hard to watch, especially in the third act. But a lot of other parts throughout as well. There's really grisly images and dreamlike sequences, whether they're dreams or not. Most of them are, but there are sequences involving people, regurgitating a lot of blood. And just the way they're shot, the cinematography is beautiful in a dark way. It's very cinematic. It's very heart pumping, and it's a slow burn, but it's well paid off. Absolutely well paid off. So you've got this family. They're living in the forest, as secluded as they possibly can, because this is like a post-apocalyptic story, and there's this really dangerous virus that makes people swell with blisters and makes their eyes bloodshot and basically their blood boil, you could say, and then they become severely contagious and severely infected, and this disease does spread pretty rapidly through touch and I believe it's just human contact mostly that spreads this, as well as obviously like getting fluids in the mouth and the obvious. But airborne, I don't think it is, but definitely touch for sure. So everybody does quarantine and try to stay away from everybody else. So the main characters are Sarah, Paul, and Travis. Now Travis is the youngest son. Sarah and Paul are an interracial couple. Sarah is a black woman and Paul is a white man, and they have a son who is a black boy. They're, yeah, like I said, they're trying to hide out. The film gets right into the bleakness and the 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 intensity of it. They have a grandfather named Bud. The boy Travis has a grandfather named Bud. Anyway, it's Sarah's dad, and they have to kill this guy. And basically, Sarah is saying goodbye to him with like a gas mask, and they're about to take his body because they end up basically shooting the sick and then burning their bodies to stop the spread of the disease, kind of thing. So in the first act, they get an intruder. This guy is basically looking for supplies. This guy's name, we figure out, is Will. But Paul basically gets a hold of him and takes him outside and ties him to a tree. And then in the morning, when this guy is tied to a tree, Paul is trying to get answers from him and interrogating him, basically asking him where he came from. And this guy, Will, swears that he thought that the house was empty and he's trying to protect a family of his own, a wife and a small child. And he was just looking for supplies and water, and he had absolutely no idea that there was anybody in the house. So Paul is a character who has massive trust issues, obviously, but he is out for survival, and he's the most paranoid of the bunch, and his trust is lost in anybody other than his family, his wife Sarah and son Travis. You never know if it's actually his son or not, but you know, they are a family for sure, and they've been for a while. And yeah, he has absolutely no trust issues, and he has no reason to trust this guy Will. But he basically he gives him water, and Will does convince him to take him to where he came from, kind of thing, to you know, help his wife and help his child. But Paul does make Will aware that if Will is lying at any time, that he will shoot Will. On the way, they're attacked by these two guys in the middle of the forest, and again, Paul goes into his huge paranoia, thinking that Will and these attackers know each other, and that Will is kind of taking him into an ambush or something. And he can't chill for a single moment. Not that I blame him, but this film is heavily focused on human nature again. Like I said in the last review, Trey Shults really likes displaying human nature and the rawness of it, and the evil ways humans can be put in the right circumstances. And one of Paul's favorite quotes in the film is, "You can't trust anybody but family," which he drills into Travis's head all the time. They do bring this new family in. This new family is Will. His wife's name is Kim, and their son's name is Andrew, and he's a very young, like 5-6-year-old boy. And they tell him the rules. They only have one door that goes into their cabin. That door is to remain closed and locked at all times. It's a red door, so clearly that's symbolism to something, but I'm not exactly sure why. But it's a totally stained red door, and it's one of the only colors in this really dark, dreary, depressing film. Like bright colors, I mean. So they know the rules. They're trying to help each other out, but throughout the whole film, Paul is having his trust insecurity, his trust issues, you could say, his struggles with it, and he never quite seems to trust this family, and it leads into a third act of a massive clash where obviously both sides are innocent enough, and they're only trying to fend for themselves, but it's a character study on both the men, both the woman, of course, and everything that ensues in this tragic circumstance. Travis ends up with a massive hard-on for Kim. They're not too far in age. Travis is 17, and Kim, she looks like she's in her early 20s or something like that. And but he's so, like, the way he'll go to the kitchen in the middle of the night where she's sitting and they are having a conversation, that you can just tell that he's fully crushing on this girl. But it's immediate. It's as soon as she shows up, basically. He also suffers from really bad nightmares where he envisions himself being sick and spreading it to other people or himself. So a lot of the dream-like or nightmare-like, you could say, scenes is Travis dreaming all these horrific events. and the nightmares and imagery certainly are horrifying. With he has one, of course, where Kim comes into his bedroom and starts making out with him, and as soon as their lips part, Kim is like drooling blood into Travis's mouth. It's pretty disgusting. And then he wakes up and it's just a dream. But yeah, the third act, Paul and Sarah start to question if excuse me, the young child of Will and Kim. I'm so bad with names. Will and Kim's son Andrew is sick because he's crying all the time, and this is where Will just says that he wants to leave and that Paul and Sarah will never see them again. He just wants to leave with enough water to be able to survive back where he came from, and that they will never see him again. And this is where Paul and Sarah flip, and they start, holding each other hostages and pointing guns at each other. The two parties, like the two couples. And Will just keeps saying and insisting that they'll just leave, but this is where Paul and Sarah especially start to become evil, because whether they're sick or not, first of all, if they're sick, Paul and Sarah are probably infected already. They did the best they can not to be, so being that they followed all their own rules and quarantine situations and stuff like that, they should have just let them be on their merry way, kind of thing. And if they weren't sick, which they didn't seem to be, they showed no signs of it. This disease, as the film shows, is pretty rapid developing once you catch it. So why insist on killing them? Their fear was that because Will and Kim now knew where they lived and where their cabin was, they would run out of whatever resource they took and then come back and want to fight for more. Or they would possibly bring other people back with them, and they were afraid of, they really want to stay as isolated as they possibly can. So they think that, or they assume and come up to the conclusion that shooting these three innocent people, as innocent as anybody can be in this movie, everybody's pretty innocent. They're just sitting. They're just dealing with a really shitty situation. But their conclusion is to shoot Will and Kim and even Andrew, and just like jumping to conclusions real fast is not a way to handle a situation like this. Sticking together and trying to find a trust in one another is probably the best way you're going to survive. But that's the audience speaking, We're all comfortable here. We're not actually in a situation where, a disease that is so deadly and so harshly painful is threatening the lives of humanity, and not knowing whether you're going to be sick or not. But without getting too detail focused on the very ending of the film, I'm just going to say it's very, very bleak, and it's one of those cut to black kind of endings for anybody who hasn't seen the film yet. But this is a spoiler review. I assume anybody listening to me has seen the film already. But Trey Edward Shults did a phenomenal job, in my opinion, at his take on a horror film. This is the kind of horror films I like anyway, is the slow burns and the slow burns with really gruesome imagery rather than just fast-paced, spooky, gory. Not that I don't like those, but these are the ones that really make for cinema, like actual film, actual experiences, actually experiencing a work of cinema, a work of art. It's stuff that gives you a story much more in depth rather than just throws scares at the screen kind of thing. So that's more of like the popcorn movie side. This is like more of the cinematic, masterful side of it. Trey Edwards, like I said, he doesn't have a miss yet. He's he's a name to look for sure. He knows how to direct a film. His films are depressing as frick, but they're really well done, and I can't take away anything from them. I want to see more horror from Trey for sure. His dramas are great, but he knows how to make horror films. That's for sure. So yeah, I'm just gonna leave it at that for now. I'm not gonna actually go into detail on what exactly happens in the last frames, but it's worth checking out. And I really like this slipcover. I really like this image. Well, certainly a lot better than this image. This one takes the cake. But that's It Comes at Night. Although it pretty much comes all the time, not just at night. I made that sound too dirty. But subscribe to Morgan Film Fan if you like to listen to my voice, or if you like my film reviews. Check the rest of them out. There's lots more coming. So stay tuned. Until next time, good night and cheers.